Located in the South Downs in West Sussex, England, Chanctonbury Ring is a mysterious landmark that has fascinated visitors for centuries. This curious site, marked by a clump of beech trees, holds layers of history, folklore, and paranormal intrigue, making it a magnet for paranormal investigators. Chanctonbury Ring is an Iron Age hill fort dating back to around 600 BC. The location offered panoramic views of the surrounding landscape, providing a vital defensive position. Evidence suggests that the site may have been used not only for protection, but also as a place of spiritual or ceremonial significance. Later, the Romans arrived, leaving behind signs of occupation, including coins and pottery. It is speculated that a Roman temple once stood there, further enhancing the site's mythical aura. Over time, it became less a place of defense and more a symbol of the enduring connection between humanity and the landscape. The iconic beech trees that crown the hill fort today were planted in 1760 by Charles Goring, a local landowner. The Great Storm of 1987 destroyed over 75% of the trees. It was decided to replant the ring, and the replanted trees are only now beginning to restore the ring to its former glory. Their haunting silhouettes remain a defining feature. They seem to embody the spirit of the site, adding to its eerie atmosphere, especially when shrouded in mist or lit by the moon. Chanctonbury Ring is steeped in folklore, much of it dark and mysterious. One of the most enduring legends claims that the devil can be summoned by running around the clump of trees 7 times anti-clockwise. The devil will appear and will offer you a bowl of soup in exchange for your soul. Another tale speaks of ghostly figures, particularly a phantom horseman, said to gallop through the area. Reports of strange lights and UFOs, disembodied voices, and an oppressive atmosphere have cemented the ring's reputation as one of England's most haunted locations. Many people who have visited the area have reported experiences that defy explanation. On Saturday, the 15th of June 1968, a group of skywatchers began an all-night vigil on the hill. During the night, nothing happened, but in the early hours of the morning, a member of the group was walking among the trees when suddenly he lost the use of his arms and his legs and fell to the ground. The group could hear him screaming for help, so they all ran to the top of the hill. Yet when they reached the top of the hill, they also found that they suddenly could not use their arms or their legs. This lasted for about 5 minutes, then suddenly they all recovered. There was no lasting effects, and it was like it never happened. On the 24th of August 1974, 4 people, including Charles Walker, who is known for his investigations into the occult and who I spoke about in a previous video about Clapham Woods, settled down for the night at Chanctonbury Ring. At 11 p.m, whilst walking through the centre of the ring, one of the members of the group was lifted several feet off the ground. He remained suspended in the air for a few seconds. While suspended in the air, he was crying, saying, "No more, no more," and it seemed like he was in a lot of pain. He then dropped to the ground and landed heavily on his back. He was so shaken by his experience that he refused to go back to Chanctonbury Ring. Over the years, there have been multiple sightings of strange lights and UFOs in the area. On the 31st of October 1972 at 10:45 p.m, Mr. Simpson, who lived in Worthing, was out walking with 2 friends. They were walking along a muddy track towards Chanctonbury Ring when they saw something on top of the hill. At first, they thought it was a fire among the trees. As they got closer, the light faded until they could not see it anymore. They carried on with their walk. A short while later, they had almost reached the top of the hill, and that is when they saw it. Later, recounting what he saw, Mr. Simpson said, "It was the strangest thing I have ever seen." As they were standing there at the top of the hill amongst the beech trees, they heard a noise above them. They all looked up and then they saw a dull red glow coming from a large object. Mr. Simpson later said it sounded as though something was brushing against the top of the trees. We were all frozen to the spot and we could not believe what we could clearly see with our own eyes. The object was making no sound whatsoever apart from when it brushed the treetops. We did not attempt to move from the cover of the trees as we felt safer under them. As the object moved further away, we could see it more clearly. The top was illuminated by a blue light and there were 4 small square, what looked like windows in the side of the object. The UFO moved to the outskirts of the trees where it hovered for a short time, then suddenly it shot up into the sky and vanished. It was many weeks before they reported what they saw. On February the 26th, 2005, Jerry White and his family set off for a nice post-Sunday lunch stroll in the Sussex countryside. Little did they know that they were seconds away from a close encounter with something strange. Jerry later said, "My son took this photo with his digital camera at Chanctonbury Ring last Sunday lunchtime. None of us present had noticed anything strange at the time, and it wasn't until my son downloaded the pictures from his camera that he noticed the strange object. I thought that it could be a drop of water on the lens, but the photos he took before and after show nothing similar. Another photo taken half an hour later by my daughter on her camera seemed to show a glowing white object above the ring, but this one is not as convincing as my son's. He has checked all his other photos, including some taken about a minute before the one with the object, and has found nothing else odd. The weather at the time was rapidly changing between bright sunshine and grey overcast with the occasional flurry of snow. A couple of minutes before my son took his picture, a glider passed over us, flying away from the ring as we walked towards it. But I don't think that the object in the photo bears any resemblance to the slender shape of a glider. The quality is not great, but there is definitely something strange about his son's photo, and it does not look anything like a glider. His daughter's photo is harder to see what it could be. It does seem to be illuminated from the sun, so it could be a glider distorted by the light reflecting off the top of the object, but no one can say for sure that this is the case. Just like Clapham Woods, over the years there have been stories of occult activity at Chanctonbury Ring, as far back as the early 1960s. Charles Walker has investigated the site and he has come across evidence that occult groups may have been using the site. In 1979, the discovery of a 9-foot circle constructed of flint provided proof that this may well be the case. In the centre of the circle was a 5-pointed star, also constructed by flint. Since this find, there have been other small pieces of evidence that indicate that the site may have been used for occult practices. Could this be the same occult group, the Friends of Hecate, that were rumoured to be using Clapham Woods? No one knows if these occult groups or group are still active in the area, but just like Clapham Woods, it adds more mystery to the area. Could it be that the occult practices in the area is what manifested all the paranormal things people have been witnessing? Or maybe they were drawn to the area because of the intense energy that has always been there. It was a crisp, clear night in the summer of 2008 when I decided to head to the ring for some stargazing. I've always loved stargazing, and the ring, perched high on the South Downs, was one of the best places for it. I arrived just after 11 p.m, armed with a telescope, a flashlight, and of course some coffee. The hike was uneventful, though the air felt unusually still. By the time I reached the ring, the moon was high, casting long shadows from the iconic beech trees. I set up my equipment near the edge of the ring and settled in for what I hoped would be a peaceful night under the stars. For a while, everything was as it should be. I scanned constellations, picked out planets, and lost myself in the sheer vastness of the cosmos. Then, just as I was adjusting my telescope, I heard it, a quiet, soft. At first, I thought I'd imagined it. The sound was faint, almost carried away by the gentle breeze. I looked around, but there was no one else there, or at least no one I could see. Shrugging it off, I went back to my stargazing. A few minutes later, I heard it again. This time, it was closer and clearer. The voice was distinctively male. It was very unsettling, and my heart started to race. I stood up, scanning the area with my flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the trees and the open field beyond, but there was no sign of anyone. Trying to steady my nerves, I called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" My voice felt small in the vast quiet of the night. There was no reply, only the distant rustle of the leaves. I told myself it must have been an echo or maybe even a trick of the wind. But just as I was convincing myself to sit back down, I heard what I can only describe as whispering. I could not tell where it was coming from. Every hair on my body stood on end. My flashlight swept through the darkness, but the light revealed nothing. The air around me seemed charged, heavy with an invisible presence. For a moment, I felt rooted to the spot, too terrified to move. Then, as suddenly as it started, the whispering stopped. The oppressive atmosphere lifted and the night returned to its normal state. I didn't wait around to see if the voice would return or the whispering. My equipment was hastily packed and I practically ran down the hill, glancing over my shoulder the entire way. By the time I reached my car, I was out of breath, my heart still pounding. To this day, I can't explain what I heard that night. I have visited countless of remote spots for stargazing, but I've never experienced anything like the eerie voice and whispering at the ring. Was it a spirit, a voice of the past echoing through time, or just my imagination playing tricks on me? I'll never know for sure, but I've never been back to the ring after dark. Some mysteries are best left undisturbed. Chanctonbury Ring is a place where the veil between the natural and supernatural feels very thin. Its ancient history combined with eerie legends and unexplained phenomena ensures it remains one of England's most mysterious locations. Whether the stories of occult practices, paranormal and UFO sightings are true or fueled by imagination, they contribute to the ring's irresistible mystique. With only 6 miles separating Chanctonbury Ring and Clapham Woods, it's interesting that both locations are very similar when it comes to occult evidence and paranormal and UFO sightings. If you happen to be in the area, I would suggest you visit the ring because it is a beautiful area with a lot of history. But maybe do not go alone and definitely do not stay there at night.